Hello, kitty. Hey, Sam, welcome back. As you can see, we have the engine in now, and the transmission, and the transfer case. So, putting all the accessories on there. Got the carburetor and everything else from the other Scout. Got the new clutch in, which kind of upsets me. I spent $500 on a new clutch kit, and the throw-out bearing was not right. So if you can see, this is the throw-out bearing that it came with on the kit. Well, it's a little bit shorter than the old one, but it should still work, should still line up. But it did not. And the clutch fork in there would not, the throw-out bearing would not slide back and forth. So what I ended up doing was having to press off the new bearing that was on the new throw-out bearing. And then I put it on the one that was on the Scout. The problem was it was rubbing, so it still was the wrong housing. So luckily I had another throw-out bearing from another Scout, and the new throw-out bearing worked on there. So that took me about 2 hours of working on it, which kind of upsets me that I spent that much time on something that shouldn't have been. So I got that on, and the sad thing is, in my frustration, I went ahead, put the transmission on the engine with the clutch, put the transmission and engine in, and then the next morning at 6:30 in the morning, I started thinking, did I actually tighten the bolt that holds the clutch fork on? Well, I went and checked there's a little pan where you can take off in the transmission, and you can look up in there, and sure enough, I did not. So that took me about 2 hours to go ahead and get up in there and tighten that bolt. So, out of frustration, just try to calm down and take your time and make sure everything's tightened. So anyway, so we got the transmission in, and then my boy Blaze helped me put the transfer case in, so that's in. I went ahead and changed out the fluid in the transmission, which I was surprised took like 4 quarts of 90 weight. The transfer case, I ordered a new gasket, bottom gasket, so I'm going to try to flush it out when a new gasket comes in, because it has a lot of sand from that sandblasting. But got that, got the dry shafts underneath, got the Mercy brake cable, which is a must on a standard transmission, right, Blaze?
Mm-hmm.
So I got that hooked up, hopefully it works. Got the starter on, got the wiring on, exhaust is on. My son will need to get a new exhaust because the exhaust pipe that's on it right now, it's only stops at the muffler, and it basically needs to be replaced. So that's a new water pump on. The previous engine on both of them did not have a clutch fan, so I ordered one, and I luckily had another fan blade from another Scout. So again, basically I put a clutch fan on there because I prefer that, hopefully keep it cooler. But it did not actually come with one. This is actually kind of unusual on the Scout SS2, was almost all the Scouts we've had came with AC, which is a totally different bracket. And the alternator actually mounts down below. With this one, the bracket actually, the alternator flipped up and it mounts up high. So it took me a while to figure out what belts I needed for that to make sure it would work. So got the carburetor on, the carburetor's all hooked up, hose and everything. Got the brake booster that came off the Brown Rally. It was actually remanufactured one, so I just painted it up. I'm bench bleeding the master cylinder. I put that on after the fact. Then I need to replace this line once I get time, because this line right here, whatever, it would not twist, and then I break it off. So luckily we got Part Scouts. And speaking of Part Scouts, if you decide to be crazy enough to buy a Scout, a good idea is find a Part Scout. So, because if you get
Or 2 or 3.
Yeah, or 2 or 3. Because again, instead of having to run out to the salvage yard, which is 35, 45 minutes away, and digging through all the junk and everything else, and trying to find that one part that you need, and hopefully it's out there. Well, if you just buy a Part Scout for $500 with the engine locked up, then you got all the parts you need, and plus you got go-bys to say, hey, this is where this line goes, or the wiring, whatever. So. Another thing, if you're going to start a project like this, what saves me a lot of money is AutoZone and O'Reilly's always have email specials where they say if you spend $125, get 20% off. So that's how I save a boy. Both the clutch kit is supposed to be like $600. Extra save $100 because they had that special going on, and it comes to your house within 2 or 3 days. So if you got a project, don't really need the part right then and there. I mean, that's where I save a lot of money. And I'll compare online O'Reilly's, AutoZone, and Rock Auto, who has the best deal, and go with them. So Rock Auto actually is a lot cheaper, but the only thing is they never have any specials where it's like 20% off or anything like that. But they do have a lot of things that are actually cheaper in the long run. But Rock Auto also charges shipping, where O'Reilly's and AutoZone only spend $35 more with free shipping. So, and again, it'll come to your house. What's funny about O'Reilly's is you'll get one big box from O'Reilly's and have all your stuff in there. Where AutoZone, you'll get 10 boxes from all over the United States with your parts in there. So, let's see what else.
You got all the linkage hooked up, right?
Yeah, got the clutch linkage and all that. I actually ordered the new grommets for the clutch bar, but I actually found some, so I was able to make it work and grease it all up. Hopefully the clutch is going to work. It seems to be fine. So we'll see once we get it running. I do need to figure out, I'm going to have to replace the lock cylinder because it's missing the key, but I think on the Brown Sky we actually have a good lock cylinder. Plus, someone had removed the 2 bolts that hold the steering wheel in there, so I need to pull the dash partly apart and figure out what's missing in there. But on another thing, what I always like to do is like AdWoods had a special 10% off yesterday, and I just go up there and I buy all the different size bolts, nuts, and everything else for future projects. And for like this, instead of digging around trying to find a new one that's rusted out, well, I just get a brand new one. So, but do have the flange shroud. I haven't put the transmission covers on yet because I want to make sure that I need to clean that up. Make sure that the clutch and everything works before I do all that. And once I make sure it works, then I'll put the covers back on. But what else? That's about it for that. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty well it. I mean, hopefully, like I said, we got the factory radiator. I'm going to clean that up and put it in there and see if it works. If it does not work, then what I usually do is buy the aluminum radiators on eBay, which is pretty, reasonable, like $185 plus free shipping. Only thing I've seen on the radiators that you get on eBay, there's 2 different ones. The cheaper one will have the water neck angled down like that. Well, if you buy the cheaper one, you're going to have problems removing this cap and everything else. So you always want to get the one that is actually flat, even with the top. So again, it'll save you a lot of time and heartaches later on in the future. But that's been it. A lot of parts, a lot of junk.
So instead of having to drive out to the salvage yard, you make your house a salvage yard, right?
Yes, here is our salvage yard. Well, hopefully, like I said, my son's 78 Rally Scout is in the shop getting painted. Once it's get out of paint, then, I mean, you can see all these parts over here that are waiting to go back on his, which we have a roll bar, windows, factory worn winch, factory worn bumper. We took it apart because we're going to sandblast and repaint it. But we were thinking about putting that on to the 78 Scout whenever he gets it back. But now we think about maybe putting the factory winch bumper on the SS2. I think it'll be a lot better. And also he had bought some brand new fender flares, which he had on a 78 Scout, but same thing. We're thinking we might end up putting those back on the SS2 and just leaving the 78 Scout, normal. So, but hopefully, like I said, when he gets out of the paint, when we get this all together, that it'll clean up the shop a little bit. But if not, one day, before we move, right, Blaze?
Mm-hmm.
Sell everything. But that's about it.
All right.
Any questions, Blaze?
Nope.
All right. Thanks for watching.